come to help.
You can
Great.
make speeches upstairs. Let me answer your question.
Okay.
The housing professionals here can talk more about it, but as you heard from this whole presentation, our first goal is to get people safely off the street. So
Then do low
let me finish.
income
You asked a
housing.
question, let me answer it. We'll have more shelter capacity, so the best option for
They
the
do
first
not
night
want
is
to go
off
to the
street.
shelters,
Of course
Charlie,
not.
you know that.
Of course no one wants to stay in the shelter permanently, and that's why the other piece of this is more affordable, permanent housing. So that's a two-step process, and a lot of people can't get onto the first step because we have no shelter capacity. We will turn 140 women away.
Are you
from
going to
Gene's
turn
place
away their wives?
tonight.
Are you going to turn away their dogs? It's the same thing, Charlie. You're going to waste $30 million.
Later. Israel.
Taxing short-term rentals, like Airbnb, to go to work. This initiative is back on the table.
I was just informed I have 3 votes on that, so yes, it's back on the table. Just the shorthand on that is the lodging taxes associated with Airbnb rentals will now be, under the proposal we'll bring to council, dedicated to affordable housing construction. We think it's as much as there's $1 million a year right now being collected from Airbnb rentals.
And that's ongoing. That will be ongoing.
Yes, ongoing.
Mr. Corey, the proposal here says out of the 30 million you're going to find somewhere in non-new resources, half of it is going to go to subsidies, that is to keep people in their existing housing and stay here, and to get some additional people off the streets into shelter. So at the end of the year, when you spend half the money just keeping people in place, are you assuming these people won't need subsidies the year after that, or are we going to continue to increase the subsidies by 15 million a year, and where are you going to fund that?
I'm assuming that some of this money will be ongoing, a lot of it, because as you say, we don't want to put people into housing either temporarily through shelters or permanently through housing situations and not be able to.
So when you mention this as an investment, this is an ongoing operating cost, not an investment that pays.
It's an investment because the money that we spend as a community through our taxpayer dollars, through our mental health services, through our drug and alcohol services, through our education system, we're keeping kids in school. This money is an investment because those services are not successful unless people have a roof over their head and a place to go.
I asked
I have a question about Greeley. I have a question about the Greeley camp. I'm wondering.
Let's talk about that separately. That's on hold for the moment, as you know. But
Okay.
we've only got a couple more minutes.
They were threatened with
that's
arrest.
not
They were
it.
threatened with
The
arrest by
raid.
the police last night. So I'm wondering if those campers are going to be swept.
We'll talk about that separately. We'll stay on this topic.
Oh, yeah, that's not important, Charlie.
Homeless
They're
now,
outside.
people of color, a really extraordinary rise in homeless people of color. I'm hearing a lot about women, about veterans. What do you do about people of color sleeping on the streets?
Well, one of the initiatives that we've already launched, in fact, we launched it here just a few weeks ago, and that is the city, with some of our additional commitment that we've already made to housing and homelessness, has put more than $900,000 into a contract with Cascadia Behavioral Health and the Urban League and the Native American Rehabilitation Association to go out and find the most difficult to house folks on the street, get them services and get them into housing. So we understand the problem, and that is the composition of who's homeless has changed. We have many more people of color, we have more women, we have more families. So we're trying to reach out specifically to those populations. Again, what we've learned from our approach with the veterans, I think, will help us in these other components of the effort. Focus on a particular group within the homeless and vulnerable population. Bring a specific coalition together that can do something about it. In the case of the veterans, it's the VA and some others that are our partners there. In the case of these culturally specific efforts reaching out to homeless people of color, it's NARA and the Urban League. I think that kind of partnership is getting results, and that's one thing, frankly, I've learned in this work, is that you have to focus and target and get the right partners together for each part of the problem. It's big, it's complex, every city in the country has it. All the West Coast mayors are going to gather here November 11th and 12th, and we're going to be talking about homelessness, and that's because LA's got 25,000 homeless people, Seattle's got 7,000. We've all got this issue, and actually, frankly, Portland's done a better job over the last few years of getting people into permanent housing. What, Nick, 13,000 over the last 10 years? But But we haven't yet solved the problem of street homelessness. Portland's done a better job than those other cities. We can learn from each other, but we all have to understand this is a national problem. It requires local partnerships to do something, and that's what this is.
Mayor, how much of the 30 million will actually be allocated this year?
I'm sorry?
How much of the 30 million will actually be allocated this year?
Allocated?
As opposed to
Some of it could be allocated in our fall bump process, which is coming up in a couple of weeks.
How much?
We don't know. We haven't done it yet.
What is your opinion?
Are you targeting the majority of people who experience homelessness, who experience it for a brief period of time, or are you targeting chronic homeless people in this initiative? They're two really different groups of people. One is really expensive to help, the other represents the majority of people who are homeless.
So I think the answer is both, in the sense that the action plans that are the foundation of the investments that we're talking about here are addressing the needs of each of the different groups within the homeless community and their specific needs, both around shelter and long-term housing. So to the extent we talk about increasing housing placements, when we start looking at the needs of folks who are struggling with mental illness versus a family that's economically dislocated, those strategies are going to look a little bit different. And within those plans, and this is why we have a coordinating board that has a lot of expertise on it, we'll be making those decisions with respect to each of the target populations. It goes to the equity question that was earlier asked as well. I think a good chunk of this resource will go to culturally specific service provision, recognizing that that is the way to help reduce the disparate rate of homelessness within communities of color. So these investments are being put out at a fairly high level. Under each of them is the kind of population-specific analysis that you're asking about.
So I think we have to break in a moment. Next steps are we're going to be hearing this report very shortly with Commissioner Saltzman and the Housing Bureau. So this afternoon at 2 p.m. On this topic again. The Home for Everyone next executive board meeting is in early December. So between now and that December meeting, we will have our fall process in which the city will be able to make decisions. I don't know if the county has an interim budgeting step or not. I don't think so. So probably the next best place to get more information about this issue is upstairs in the council chambers, 2 o'clock this afternoon. I think we're going to break, but I'll take some
The vote is one time. Can you commit to making any of the city's portion of this ongoing?
Yes. Yes, of course we can commit to make some of it ongoing because, again, we're going to do our general fund budget process starting in January. We're in a much better place than we were 2 years ago. You may recall that that we held housing harmless even within a general fund budget that we cut by $21 million in 2013, and that we put a total of about $100 million into the housing budget this year, putting most of our one-time money into transportation. That was a good choice, but that was that choice that year. What you're hearing, I know, from a majority of this city council is that the priority for next year's budget for available funds is going to, in part, shift to housing. We still have a big transportation problem in the city, so we have to shift. This is an emergency, and we need to deal with it that way. Thank you all very much. We'll be upstairs at 2 o'clock talking about housing. Thank you for being here.